Morning again, guys. All right, y'all. I'm going to put a theory out on the video I posted maybe half an hour, 45 minutes ago or so with the Democracy Dies in Darkness. And this is just kind of thinking about it. Does anybody remember the TV show from earlier this decade? It was called Person of Interest. And it was basically a cop-type drama, I guess, if you will, where guy had created a software system where he could access any camera in the world and track somebody. So they were trying to find bad guys, I guess, if you will, on this TV show. So literally, it was the field agent out there saying, hey, get the camera on the stoplight at 5th and Main, and the guy would tap into it, and they could track somebody go all over the place. All right. So that's the first thing I was thinking about. Now, we all know that TV shows eventually lead to things in reality. I mean, you can go all the way back to Star Trek in the 60s with the communicators, as they called them. They were basically flip cell phones. Or the big hullabaloo that was made a year or so back when somebody created the hoverboard, from Back to the Future. So, TV shows eventually give inventors an idea. Hey, what if we could really make something like that? And they do. Okay. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just trying to figure out a little bit about what's going on. And maybe this has some sort of reality to it. Now, add that TV show, add it to, say, facial recognition. I mean, Christ, you got facial recognition on your phone right now. How do you sign into your phone? You don't need to tap a passcode or anything anymore. You just look at it and it goes, oh, that's Pinball. This is his phone. So something like that, tie that together with cameras all over the place, which we already have, okay? And then tie that into any sort of facial recognition, et cetera, et cetera. Now, let's go on to this type of scenario and how I'm thinking this might be able to be used and maybe what's going on. Again, this is me completely speculating, but, again, I kind of like to think of things with logic, and this logically makes sense to me. We've all seen for the better part of a decade stoplight cams. You drive through the red light or the yellow light or whatever it is, and the camera on the top of the stoplight snaps a picture of your license plate, and a week later, what do you have? You have a ticket that miraculously shows up in your mail and says you owe $50 for running this stoplight. You were never pulled over by a cop, you never knew it was coming, but all of a sudden you owe $50 to the municipality or the county or the state or whoever got you on camera, okay? And sure, there was a lot of fighting over it in court, saying this wasn't legal and I wasn't driving the car, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there obviously were the kinks that had to be worked out with that. But there were probably plenty of people who just wrote the check and paid the ticket and said, okay, it's done. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. So now let's take the same scenario and kind of tie into what I said this morning and what I'm thinking here. Okay. Democracy dies in darkness. And as we kind of all know, for the last 2 years, I guess, we've all been told about 5G is coming. It's going to change communication like crazy. You're not going to need your satellite dish or your cable internet or cable TV or anything. Everything can be run via 5G, and it's 100 times faster than 4G or whatever, all the marketing stuff they did. Okay, so let's say this all is accurate. Okay, and you can almost get literally instantaneous information. Now, tie this into everything going on along the lines with COVID. Oh, we're not going to let you out after 10 o'clock. Oh, you're going to have to wear a mask, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So, Joe Smith is walking down Fifth Avenue in New York at 10:05 without a mask on. And there's cameras all over the place in New York City, of course, like there is pretty much everywhere. And they snap a picture of Joe Smith. Facial recognition can tell them it's Joe Smith. Now, they could send it to the police right away and go, oh, go arrest this guy. He's out after curfew and he's not wearing a mask or whatever. So that's one option. The other thing is, oh, well, there's so many people out there, we can't send the police all over the place, so this is what we're going to do. Snap a picture, we figure out it's Joe Smith, we match the picture we just took to, say, his driver's license or whatever would be, any other sort of ID we have. They figure out who you are, what your address is, and they send you a ticket for $50 saying, oh, you weren't wearing a mask. Oh, and here's your court appearance ticket because you were out after curfew too. Now, could this be a possibility? Absolutely. I don't see why it couldn't. Is that maybe what's going on? Are they installing the 5G cameras all over the place, rewiring it? I mean, I know even out here in the middle of rural nowhere, the electric company is running fiber optic line all of a sudden to the middle of nowhere. And, who knows what else they're running. I mean, all the line workers know is they're installing cable. Nobody knows what the access they have, who's going to have access to all that information. So just something to think about here as maybe what's going on. Go back to Orwell's 1984. Big Brother's watching, and now Big Brother can figure out who the hell you are and figure out how to get money out of you. Isn't that something that one particular political party really wants to do? Because they got to pay for all these crazy programs, and if they can force you to do something and fine you if you don't, they can have a huge cash grab. And after all, isn't that about the only thing government's good for anyway? Pinball out.